You're listening to the Hossan Leong podcast. We have an Aussie in the house.
We do?
Yeah. Well, if you consider Perth, Australia. But anyway, whoa, born in Perth. Actor, photographer, writer, creative director at Pangdemonium. And also a great actor in films like The Apprentice, The Offering, and Koji Cooks. Do you know him?
I've met him. I don't think we remember, but he's been in Singapore for so long. We must have spoken to each other once or twice. But looking forward to talking to him again.
Great. Crispian Chan will join us in just a while. You know, with all these phones, right, all these apps inside, you don't use the phone like a phone anymore. You realize that? Everybody's on the phone doing something else other than talking, right? Some people use it as walkie-talkie though. Have you seen it? 等一下我们去哪里吃啊? Isn't talking like that? No. Last I heard. Huh? This one called mouthpiece, yeah, right? Mouthpiece, not earpiece. Hey, millennials, last time, do you realize our phones actually attached to walls one leh? It's called landline. You know landlines? Last time I used a landline, right? Whenever I called my friend Peter, right? The first person that I make friends with is not Peter. It's his mother. Yeah? Last time, remember? Your house phone ring, and everybody like $6 million man all rush for the phone. Hello? Hello? Can I speak to Peter, please? Who's this? Oh, this is Hossan. Hold on. Peter, your bad influence friend Hossan called. Don't go with him, And then some houses got 2 landlines, right? 2 landlines. So you are speaking with Peter. Then you hear... It's not you, it's not Peter. It's then where you start making fake plans, right? Peter, we are going to the library this evening, yes. The library will close at 3 a.m. The library was called Fire Disco. That was an education. But you know, it's interesting though, because with the onset of mobile phones, something has disappeared completely from the face of the earth, okay? To me, I think it is toilet graffiti. It's gone. Toilet walls are clean, right? Why? Because mobile phone, right? People are like very busy now. Nobody have time to draw anymore. Right? Clean. Nobody got, no, yeah, why? But I need to ask you, who has drawn on toilet cubicle walls before? Laugh until that must be you. So why? Why do you feel the need to have a pen and draw on the walls of the toilet? All these rude pictures, why? I don't understand. You fail art class, is it? Must practice, huh? So ugly some more. And I don't understand, right? Because whatever makes you think that the next person that sit down, see Nene Kukucha will be a turn on. I don't get it. Someone got phone number. For a good time, call 777-1155. Hypothetically, let's say I want a good time, okay? Let's say I sit down. Last time no mobile phone so want to have a good time, must memorize the phone number kan? Okay, let's say you're lucky you got pen. Wow, can write, right? 777-1155. Alamak, cannot wipe, cannot wash, right? Find 10-cent coin, rush to the orange public phone, put inside. Hello? I would like to have a good time. Peter, your bad influence friend Hossan called again. Don't go with him,
So, Crispy, when did we first meet? Do you remember?
I think actually it was literally on the last show we just did, which was the Earnest.
Importance of being
Importance
earnest.
of being earnest.
Prior to that, you were in school, right? Or
I
something?
was at school at LaSalle, but I don't think I ever encountered you because you probably more connected with musical theatre, right? You did some
yeah.
work for musical theatre, if I remember.
I did a lot of fluffy work, basically. if you
work.
consider that.
Well, actually, did you ever do 9 Lives on Arts Chat Central?
No.
You never did
I
that?
didn't, no.
Okay, you didn't do all guesting.
So we must have just met at the photo shoot
Yes. Yes.
11 years ago.
At Milk Photography, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Mount Sophia. that
Where is?
beautiful-
Oh, Milk. That's right.
Olivier
Yeah, Henry.
Henry's studio.
Yes.
What shoot was it?
We for the publicity for importance of being earnest.
Oh.
Which they still have been using for the last 10 years.
Yeah. So Jem, who's our producer, was also doing the collaterals for that, and he said, we're using the same photos from 10 years ago.
No wonder.
We all haven't changed. I said, well, thank goodness for DI.
Yeah, it's natural DI, right? Don't have to do anything.
So 10 years, 11 years ago, when you did Importance of Being Earnest with
Yeah.
me, you were 30.
Yes.
So you just turned the big 40.
Are we
Exactly.
going there now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going there now, but we won't. So how did you start? I mean, you came from Perth.
Yes.
And you came straight to school here, did you?
Yes, that's right. I was working, as an actor. I'd studied theatre and film in Perth. I was born and raised there, but then so I did my uni there. I was working, casually as an actor over there, and I wanted more formal training. And LaSalle had just started this new program for a degree in musical theatre and acting, and so I jumped on board. I thought it was a good opportunity to come over to Singapore, where you kind of get the best of both worlds. They were teaching the course in English, but they also teaching Western and Eastern theatre practices, and yeah.
And then, so that was your first time you came to Singapore,
First time ever.
thrown into the deep end,
Yeah.
graduated, and the importance of being earnest. Was it your first role?
It was my first main stage role.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
I did graduate in 2008, and then I did something for Singapore International Festival of the Arts. No, it was called International Arts Festival back then.
Yeah.
CF or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I did something that was a commission there, but then Wild Rice was the first company that I actually worked with.
Fantastic. Now, over this 10, 11 years, this has been a journey of for you as an actor, as well as a photographer.
Yes.
Because a lot of us know you as well as a very accomplished photographer who does amazing headshots for actors and performers. I mean, you've done mine. You made me look amazing. I've been using it across everywhere. So how did that come about, the photography bit?
It came out maybe a necessity back in the days when you were doing when you're working in small theatre companies, when you didn't have a full-time team of people and you need to kind of do your own publicity and marketing. And, this started from when I was working in university theatre, when we were allowed to, we're given a small budget to stage a show every week.
Every week?
Every week,
Yeah.
wow.
That's not a small budget.
It was about $100.
Oh, okay, that's small
Which
budget.
we then end up using. So we found out, we said, hey, so what can we use this $100 for? And he said, well, you can, our electricity, you can put anything that's on stage, you can put
On the budget.
You can put into budget.
Okay.
So everyone ended up just putting a carton of beer on stage. And that became our rap party entertainment drinks
I see.
afterwards. So every show always had a carton of beer on stage.
It is quite Australian.
So it was a very small budget, but it was a way for us to practice our skills and to kind of work as an independent, we learned how to be an independent artist. And so one of those things was we needed photos for a show.
Yep.
If you're going to market it, if you want to put something into a poster. I just happened to like taking photos. I had a Polaroid camera that's then turned into a little digital camera back in those days, which was only what?
Sorry, Polaroid, as in like instant.
Instant, yeah.
My gosh, okay.
Yeah. I
One
remember
shot.
Yeah, exactly. And then we like photocopied it and then put it onto the poster, And then, technology happened, and then we had a digital camera which only had like 2 megapixels back in those days, right? So you kind of
2 megapixels.
Pixels,
That's not
right.
very big, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I not very clear how
Yeah.
big is 2 megapixels.
I mean, maybe go back. Do you guys remember the Apple made a camera?
Did they?
Yeah? What?
Yes.
Jem, you remember?
In high school, I remember in high school, my IT teacher had an Apple camera
Wow.
that was like 640 kilobytes was the resolution. Something like 128 pixel by 128 pixel or something.
It's like everybody's face is censored or something.
Oh, it's like Japanese porn.
Pixel.
I won't know what you're talking about.
I
Oh,
just
no,
came
no,
out.
no.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, and then so with all that technology back then, you embraced it, I suppose. You're not afraid of it because a lot of actors are afraid of technology. They don't know. You put something in front of them and they go, "Oh my gosh, it's a soundboard. What do I do with it?" Oh,
Yeah,
fader.
it's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Hmm.
I find in the arts, there's a lot of very technologically adverse people
Hmm.
in there. And there's something interesting about, I mean, I can't speak for every art form out there, but I mean, from performing arts, I mean, nothing's really changed. If you
No.
think about in terms of how theatre has been from, say, the Greek days, you're still kind of performing on an open kind of platform space. There are lights. You have an audience. I mean, acting in itself. I mean, look, there is... people just remembering lines and just saying it out loud to a crowd of people.
And absolutely, but I mean, as a side hobby or an interest,
Yeah.
even I don't know many actors who actually would want to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to try and tackle the soundboard or the light board or how to use this as to help me
Yeah.
or to enhance my work as an actor. Why do you think that is?
Maybe I think it could be one could be actually it's something that training institutions don't really have failed in, I guess, perhaps.
You mean the brick and mortar schools, the drama schools?
Yeah, the drama schools.
Right, okay.
I think that there is this very heavy kind of
traditional
approach, to saying that if you're going to be this specialty, you must go all the way through with it, rather than. And I guess there is that kind of thing where we've already kind of got people kind of look down the arts already. So if you're going to do something, you're going to do something really good, and you got to be this kind of awesome at this one particular specialty to kind of dilute it in some way by doing all sorts of different skills. Then it may seem that they're not getting the best out of their training, perhaps. I think that there are definitely institutions out there that train actors to do a bit of, say, technical training in lighting design or sound design, and I think that those people come out more balanced and actually we have more freedom to actually go and produce their own work than people who have kind of gone down that very pure, straight one specialty training.
Having said that, though, it's interesting because when I directed my first major concert, True Colours, I hadn't worked with multimedia before.
Yeah.
Major lights, major sound, amazing instruments that were being used by the disabled, because they couldn't actually handle instruments. So everything was electronic, computerized, digital, which they can play. And that opened my mind up to a whole new world of technology that I, as a director perhaps, and even as a performer, could use in my future shows. So I think the rise of technology in the arts, I see it as a wonderful door that has opened for us to use.
Absolutely, and I think that's in the last 10 years we've seen that happen a lot more, that people are utilizing technology more to produce their shows, and it comes out something that is for economic reasons or a way to kind of interconnect with communities outside of their region, and also to enable or empower certain groups of people to come into that form. It's very incredible in terms of how in this current period right now with COVID, that theatre companies and other performing arts companies have even tapped into technology more to try and run the company online in the virtual world,
Yes.
to try and continue the work, to try and keep telling those stories, and how quickly people are embracing it, and with technology that actually has existed around for quite a while. It's a fantastic kind of opportunity right now to see how those companies are embracing those platforms.
Well, Ben, as a creative director as well
Yeah.
in the advertising world, how technology is being used
Yeah,
so
that's right.
much, right? How do you input that into your
Routine or
your
work.
routine?
Well, we embrace technology because we find that it makes your work a lot more effective, a lot more. Basically, you do work quicker. I think that we embrace it a lot, and there's no reason to be afraid of it. I think the only people that ought to be afraid of it are people who think that robots are going to take over acting. That applies only to Channel 8 actors.
Oh, no shade there, no shade.
Wow, very dark.
Turn off the lights.
But it's a good opportunity now, ironically, that this situation has given us the chance to actually embrace technology and put things out of necessity, like the recent show that had to be postponed, Kumar's show.
Yeah.
So we're trying to see whether we can put out more stuff to keep the audiences warm until we can stage it again on stage. Yeah.
That's a good idea, though. Keep him in the
Absolutely.
audience's eye, in their
correct.
mind. But when it comes back to photography for you, Crispian, now we can go out and take pictures everywhere. It's become mobile, right? You can set up a studio anywhere. Is that true?
Yeah, you can. I mean, and camera phones in particular has made photography extremely accessible for anyone. The sensors, the quality, the portability, the fact you can take it to any space anywhere around. Yeah, it's incredible how people can do that, and all the apps that people are using to make their photos, have their either look the same or look very unique. I would say more the same.
Very fierce.
Yeah. If I see another orange and blue teal colored photo again, it's just going to drive me nuts, or another visco filter. But yeah, it's made it incredibly, simple for people to use, and accessible for sure.
So when it comes to that, though, what do you think you need a good eye to be a photographer, or anyone can become one now that with this technology available?
That's the ongoing debate. Are you a good photographer because of the gear, or are you a good photographer because you know how to use the
Or
camera?
they're a tennis player playing the racket.
Yeah, exactly. And I think ultimately, in any form of art, I think it's one thing to have the tools, but really, if you really want to kind of make an impact, if you want to really stand out, it really comes down to who you are as a photographer, as an artist, and how you kind of interpret the world through your eyes. And a camera can only do so much with light and a sensor, but what you try and tell in the story of that image, that's something comes from you. You as the photographer has to be able to read the body in the space. For me, as watching dance, it's about understanding how a body works in the space. An actor, how they connect with you through the eyes, or through a theater photo, it's how the lighting, the costume, and the blocking all kind of tell a story. And for that to be experienced by anyone viewing that photo, it has to come from the photographer first, not the gear.
Did you go to a photography school? No, not really.
Googled.
You Googled. Amazing.
I Googled everything.
There you go. Learn everything online.
That's the incredible thing about technology, about how easy it makes everything so accessible. And pretty much everything that I do now that I make a living out of didn't come from university.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's hope for us yet.
Hope for us. Very good point as well. That you got to know the subject and the mood and the posture and all that. So if you don't know yourself well, then you take very bad selfies, I guess.
Speaking of that selfies, though, what are your thoughts on that? Everything nowadays have to be Instagrammable. What does that mean? What do you think?
Everyone has this incredible need to share what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And and especially when they see other people's lives, they want to try and up it up, or they try and kind of validate their own by showing how things are going there. And it's an incredible thing what Instagram is, and how social media has interacted with that. And I think that it's an empowering kind of way to connect people. Just like right now with the COVID situation, I think technology has, if anything, brought us kind of closer together. Has helped us kind of connect with people while we're in isolation, but at the same time, though, it's extremely damaging, particularly for people who have problems with self-image. I think in terms of identity, cultural identity, or sexual or gender identity, or whatever those kind of identities that you have of yourself, self-image, I think it's created a whole series of problems with that as well.
Yes, because now like everybody has perfect bodies, perfect skin.
Exactly.
And I'm going like, why am I born this way?
And everything's curated on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, we all choose what we want to put up there, but we don't show what else is going on behind those little, one little square posts.
Outside of the composed picture, right?
Exactly.
What's behind this dad bod?
Yeah.
A lot of beer. But then, when it comes to composing headshots, though, speaking of composition, how do you do it? Because it's quite, I've gone to different photographers to do headshots, and not everybody's got a square jaw and looking amazing like Hugh Jackman or stuff. But so how do you compose a headshot? What brings out the actor's face?
I think the most important thing to think about when you're working with headshots, it's that it's going to be the first point of contact with a casting director or a director, or even the public. The public, yeah. When they're looking for, hey, that guy was a great actor. I want to find out more about that person, so I'll Google that person. What's going to come up first? Hopefully, most likely your headshot, right? But I mean, from a casting point of view, which is what a headshot is, I think it's very important that with a casting headshot that you try and present an authentic version of yourself.
Right.
You want the photo to be the same face and energy and person that walks through that door. Because there's nothing worse than you going, I want to see that person. I'm going to fly that person over here. I'm going to fly them and get them to walk into the studio, do an audition for me, and they look nothing like what that headshot showed.
Hey, that's like the Tinder profile.
Oh, yes, that's true.
I have no idea what Tinder is.
Yeah.
No idea. Anyway.
I missed that bird as well. But I mean that's the most important thing, and a lot of headshots you see, people are always trying to be in character. They're trying to do acting character shots. They're trying to, I'm going to do an angry shot. I'm going to do a sexy shot. I'm going to do a debonair kind of charming shot. And for me, what I really love is it's really really about just capturing a person being present in the space.
Okay.
That's something that I always tell my actors when I'm shooting them. A lot of actors freak out when they get their headshots done because they're so used to being bombastic on stage. They're performing, they're emoting.
They're always hiding behind a character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when they're asked to just be themselves in front of a camera, sitting still in a very small confined space, they're like going, this is unnatural. And the thing that I always say is the most important thing you should be doing as an actor or anyone when you're engaging with someone, trying to connect with someone, is you should be listening. And one of the things, like what you guys are doing right now as I'm talking, you're making eye contact with me and you're listening. And that's really all I'm trying to capture, is that someone who was genuinely present in front of you, listening and engaging with you, hopefully warmly, with positive energy. And that's it. And that's really it for a headshot, is that you want the casting director to be looking at that photo and going, wow, the eyes, they're connecting with me right now, and I want to know more about that person because basically they're interested in what I have to say.
I had a headshot that was used once in a marketing magazine, and the photographer thought it would be funny to have me with my eyes closed. So there's no eye contact, because I just sat there, I was quite stiff, and so the flash was going off, and then I got fed up with it, so I just winced and did this and closed my eyes and just bared my teeth like that, right? And they used it. They thought that was really funny. They said, okay, you should use it. It's actually very you.
Is it? I think I've seen that shot. It's online,
it's
right?
Marketing magazine.
Interactive something.
I think I've seen that. But those are quite fun as well. I mean, there's something there's also those kind of headshots where it's extremely impromptu. When it's an accident, and sometimes accidents for photos are sometimes the best ones for that genuine thing. It's just when the photographer starts doing things to try and provoke you into doing something that is contrived, then you can kind of sense that. And you can tell that straight away when something's contrived when you look at it, when the headshot, right? Yeah.
The fake candid, as we call it.
Yes.
When the photographer tells me, look sexy. What?
What does that mean? Oh, over the shoulder now. I've seen amazing pictures that you've done, Crispian, of actors backstage just before they step on the stage, and all it's like a really an exercise into when an actor prepares. And it's friends of mine, people I don't know, the younger actors, the older actors. I've seen them, and it's so good. And I was actually frankly very jealous that Crispian has never taken a picture of me backstage before because I never prepare.
Oh, you turn it up when you go backstage.
Yeah, so recently he did one just because I made a lot of noise, and then so I had to pretend I'm preparing to go on, like close eyes all, and then like go through the lines in my head. Still like that, but anyway.
I'm going to have to post on the website. I was a little bit more than that, I think. You were turning it out. It was like a Vogue vanity shoot backstage before you're going on stage.
I mean, what do you do, right? You have to do something fun for you. Not like, I got to concentrate on my lines now. Are you thinking of putting up those photos for an exhibition? Or because I said to Crispian that they are amazing. They really look so well done, and it's a whole series. You've got hundreds of them.
Yeah. They're very intimate photos, and they're very close to my heart as an actor in terms of capturing something that a lot of people don't see. The audience don't see. It's a very private space backstage.
It is,
especially during the show, and it's dark, and it's full of people running around half naked, and techs are trying to stick wires on people or anything like that. But there's that kind of moment of calm before they go on stage, and that's what I'm trying to capture. And sure, I'd love to share that kind of moment, but it's also quite a weird thing. It's a very sacred moment as well, in a way. I mean, from an actor's perspective.
Except mine, but yeah.
It's a full-blown
I'm getting on stage.
Sports Illustrated shoot. But yeah, I mean, it is. I would love to. I think it's something that I would love to build up over time and eventually show, for sure. It's definitely, especially now, once again, with this whole COVID thing, there is this thing where we now have all these empty spaces around the city of these theaters.
Yeah, right. It'll be interesting now to actually start putting stuff up that this is what goes on behind the scenes backstage 2 seconds before so and so steps on.
Yeah.
Can anyone access these photos at the moment, or?
Yeah, I've been sharing some on my Instagram and on my website, which I'm about to redo again. But yes, I have been trying to share them on the website and on my Facebook just to kind of. But I do it more just to kind of help market my friend, the friends, who are doing shows right now. Great. So yeah.
I mean, we help each other, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, and there's always this constant debate about payment. Right? Photographers. How much should we... is it worth it paying for this photographer or not? How much time... How many photos are you going to give me? Will you give me the DVD after that?
Yeah. Okay, can we retouch this and this and this and this? Yeah, absolutely.
Can you take passport photo for me as well?
Oh, yes. That has happened. I'm still waiting for one guy to pay me for that.
Are you
3 years later on. Yeah.
Is it an actor we know?
No, it actually was a corporate headshot. And the guy was, no, it's just a headshot. It's fine. It's not, doesn't, just count it as part of that part.
Wow. So what are these problems that you face now dealing with these things?
Well, it is very difficult, and like what we were saying earlier before about how everyone has a camera now, and that's the thing. People, it's so accessible to get cameras now, and they're so cheap, and anyone can use them now, especially in the digital sense. You can edit it very quickly and cover up any mistakes. So you have a lot of people going around who do photography as a hobby, which is great, rightfully so. But when they start kind of doing it to the point where companies are taking advantage of that situation, where they go, okay, well, I either have a choice of paying this guy's professional, or I can pay another guy nothing who doesn't do it quite professionally, but the Photoshop covers up for most of the things, and it's only going to be on a mobile phone screen, so no one's really going to know the difference because it's not going to be for billboard anyway. Wow. I'll just go for the cheap version instead, and it definitely, I mean, I had a friend who's been in the photography business since the 80s and 90s, and he was telling me that for the shoots that he in the 80s and 90s when you're working on film, you're talking about jobs that normally would cost, double figures, like, tens of thousands of dollars. Sure. Those same jobs are now going for less than $4,000 to do, the same kind of thing.
Does that translate to the advertising world as well?
Absolutely does, because clients think there's no difference in the product at the end.
Right.
And then you have to actually sit down with them and show them exactly where the difference is. Like, for example, you tell them, okay, this is like it's flat. This image is flat, and they say, why is it flat? No, because it's too bright. It looks like you're on the set of a Korean drama. It's completely like that, or Taiwanese drama for that, right? It's always like that because they use too many lights,
too much,
and they think that they are doing something with it, and then everybody's going for that ring light effect. And when it's a portrait, terrible. Yes, we're rolling our eyes just still thinking about it. And they think, no, I'm just paying $4,000. Why are you charging me 20? Yeah.
So quality is definitely questionable. Like
Yeah,
you go
completely
cheap,
questionable.
or people who don't know how
Yeah.
to use lights or photography for that matter.
Absolutely. And the thing is, people aren't trained to see that.
No, they're not. It's terrible. Even with simple things like event photography, okay, you need a good event photographer and you need to have a brief for them. So they just hire, the hobbyists who come into the event and just take masses, group shots. They just get people together and take group shots. It doesn't give the event any proper coverage as well. Yeah, the only people interested in the group shots are the people in the photos.
group shots,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So for that matter then, I mean, has technology dumbed down society then? If that's the case, because people can't see the difference because they don't really care anymore, right?
Well, I mean, I've always thought as technology has been this kind of interesting thing where, us by being lazy, it makes us smarter.
Yeah. Shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Okay.
Technology in some way is about shortcuts.
About shortcuts, yeah. Making life easier, so to speak.
Yes. Easier to live though. Technology has its benefits in terms of, say, medicine or science, right?
Sure.
But has it made us? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it does both. I mean, it's an ongoing debate, but I think ultimately the positive kind of benefits of technology outweighs the negative.
Okay.
And I think it's just because human nature just has a way of exploiting everything.
Exactly.
So do you think that being a good photographer is a taught skill, or is it an inherent talent that people have?
Absolutely. I think it's taught. I think it's taught.
Oh, okay.
I think it's taught. I think that, I mean, I think it's really, I mean, in all sorts of forms of art, I personally feel that, it really is, there is an audience for everything, as you can see, because there's so much levels of good art or bad art or in sort of entertainment in that fact. I think it's something that you can teach yourself. I think where you might have to start drawing a line is when you're talking about when is it commercially viable or when it becomes great. But I guess I'm a socialist when it comes to art. I believe that, all forms of like, say, as a photographer, I believe that there's something just as valid as a 4-year-old taking a photo with a disposable camera as there is something that, an Annie Leibovitz would take a photo. I think that what we see, I mean, especially as a photographer, I think what we see through the lens is something that is documented and validated. I mean, if you were to put yourself in a situation, say, 200 years down the track, for example, thousands of years down the track, and a 4-year-old takes a photo of something on a disposable camera, and that photo gets dug up by some ancient civilization. That has meaning. That's how one way I've put it. I mean, in the current context right now, I might say I'm not going to pay $10,000 for that, but that becomes a document of something that. Yeah,
it does become a document.
It is just as important.
Just as important. I mean, like, we look how much we revere those cave paintings on that wall.
Might have been a 4-year-old.
Exactly. For all we know, there could be a 4-year-old doing that.
Doing crayon work.
Meanwhile, Dad's next to him is doing some kind of like Rembrandt painting and he just got washed away.
Because he used watercolor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, how being a photographer has helped you as an actor? In the creative aspect of this.
It goes both ways. I would say it's better to talk about how it works me both ways. I think as a photographer, I think I mean, I had a film background when I was at uni, so that kind of formed the way I did acting, and acting helped me inform the way that I see filming. I think from a photographer point of view, the acting helps me kind of find a way to connect with people, to empathize with people, to find the empathetic connection with people. I think as a photographer, as an actor with a photography background, I think it helps you kind of give a third eye to seeing, you know, what are you trying to say on the stage, or what is the bigger picture, or what is the composition? Understanding space, understanding light, understanding the composition of that, I think is how it relates. Yeah, I think that's.
Is that a job hazard for you though? Because standing on stage trying to act and suddenly goes, oh, the light's a bit wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Or when I'm watching a show and I'm going, oh my gosh, that photo, you know, that's actually that blocking's wrong, or that, you know, the lighting is terrible, or you know what kind of set design is that color?
How do you handle all that? You can't enjoy this piece anymore.
I think that's the problem with anyone who's in the arts. I mean, when you kind of know everything, when you know all the tricks and everything behind the scenes, anything you look at after that is just, you just kind of go, no, you're just breaking it apart. Right.
We gotta maybe start a virtual classroom on for actors, how to just sit down, shut up, and enjoy the show. Right? Stop bitching, guys. You know, people put a lot of effort into putting a show on.
Or actors giving other actors instructions on stage.
Let's not even go there. That's another whole podcast topic altogether. I don't know. Now, you're also creative director and IT specialist in Pangdemonium.
IT hobbyist.
What does that mean? What do you do for Pangdemonium?
Oh, look, I'm just a geek. I'm just a nerd. I just happen to be the guy who just happens to know how to Google instructions on how to fix something on computers at work. That's really all I do.
So you're an IT guy lah.
IT guy lah.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
It's like when my mom doesn't know how to upload an app, she will like, help me.
Exactly. Have you pressed Control Alt Delete? Yeah. Try Control Delete. Try turning it off. Try restarting it.
And are there new technologies that you like to see being implemented or used in theatre today?
Absolutely. It's something I'm very passionate about, something I've been very excited about in the last few years. I'm very lucky though that I am working with a company that has got the infrastructure and the support from the government and from sponsors and to help me do that. But I do think that arts companies have got a long way to go in embracing kind of technology platforms to help administrate and run behind the scenes of organizational companies.
Right.
And it's definitely it's definitely happened though. At the same time though, I think we have a long way to go, but we are working on it. And once again, with whole COVID, I am seeing and hearing a lot about companies and individuals, freelancers who are finding more ways to find tools online or digitally to try and help continue their work or to expand their networks and make connections.
Yeah, because I was hoping that someone would come up with a software where you can just dump everybody's names and unavailable dates, and it churns out the perfect rehearsal schedule for you. So I have no missing actors at rehearsal.
Yes, that is so true. I mean, there's so many little kind of things. I mean, there's so many little kind of facets that you can find that you could build technology around. I actually just found an app just about 2-3 years ago where you can put scripts on there and learn lines. You actually can record someone saying your lines and it will listen to you and read the other person's lines back to you.
Oh, wow.
So you can learn lines with an app to yourself.
Really?
Yeah, so specifically for actors.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really kind of interesting. And I mean, of course,
what is it called though? Do you know?
I have to find it.
Let me know later.
Okay, so I have to say it didn't really work very well. The technology was still a little bit. It needed a little bit of more work still. The interface was a little bit clunky, so I kind of gave up. But yeah.
What other apps do you use as an actor? That helps you in your work.
Not so much on the rehearsal part of things. I mean, I do keep my scripts now digitally. I'm trying to save paper. So one thing I do is I put my scripts on my phone.
I find that so hard though.
Yeah, and also it looks really bad on
like you're doing WhatsApping during rehearsals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're holding your script.
It's so amateur hour.
But how do you write notes then?
Oh well, iPad, you can kind of put heads on there and
Still a
stuff like
stupid
that.
question to ask, but
Yeah.
No, I just discovered something in the last month at rehearsals with Kumar show, right? So, you know how you at rehearsals you try to record the rehearsal to see how it goes, and then the SM is furiously writing down notes, rehearsal notes. Now, if you're using the iPad, right? Which app was it? Notability, is it? Notability, yes. So you can record on Notability, and you write while the rehearsal is going on, and then when you play back the recording, it will highlight the note you've just written.
Wow.
Where the line was being spoken.
so oh my goodness.
Wow.
So the script is already
Game
downloaded on
changer.
Notability, and then you just record the. Okay.
You can put the script in Notability as well, and then you can scribble on top of it, like when this line needs to change and all that while you're recording it.
Wow.
So this is for SMs or for
For
directors?
SMs and directors. So if your SM was on MC,
Yeah.
like what happened, then you can ask the director to go into it herself or himself.
You know what I saw a few years back was George Takei did a musical on Broadway called Allegiance.
Allegiance.
Oh, yeah.
With Eleanor Wang.
Eleanor Wang, yes, our own Eleanor Wang.
Yeah.
And Leia Salonga was in it. But if you watch the behind-the-scenes videos, apparently Leia couldn't make it to New York for some rehearsals because of her commitments, I think,
Right,
back in the
yeah,
Philippines
yeah,
at some
yeah.
point. So during certain rehearsals, they had set up for her, you know, those telecommuting, like, Segway, iPads on the Segway kind of robots. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, imagine, you know, an iPad on wheels.
Okay.
Which you can remotely control around. So it was designed. I saw the corporate version, which is basically people can basically go around the company office and talk to people by iPad, webcam, webcam,
I see.
that kind of thing. But they put her on it, and she was. I don't know if she was literally rehearsing the scenes on it, but she was walking around the rehearsal space. Wheeling around, the rehearsal space with that, watching the rehearsals as it was going.
So basically, she in Philippines would be able to see the room in New York.
Yeah.
And in situ, basically, she is where she's supposed to be in position.
Yeah, exactly. Effectively, she could do that. She could effectively see at least what the blocking was going, how it was changing.
This is quite amazing.
And perform. I don't think she'd be able to perform in real time with it. I think there'd be a bit of a lag
course.
to really kind of get
It's
anything
more
going.
for blocking, I think.
More for blocking, yeah. And just being present there to actually kind of know what's going on, to know how things are changing, because you know how things can change quite dynamically in a rehearsal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The point to note, thank you. But I still want my access at rehearsals, please. Thanks. Because there are some apps I guess are being used nowadays. I've seen actors use their iPads to record. There's an app that I think is called is to share knowledge as well. Where let's say we are studying Romeo and Juliet, for example, in a school, and there's a theatre company that's performing Romeo and Juliet, for example, and they all share this consciousness. So as an actor, if I'm playing Romeo, I can pull up notes that the teacher has taught the school. You know what I mean? And they all share. And then as an actor, I put in my notes, or director, I put in my Romeo, things he believes, blah, blah, blah. And the students can pull that up as well. And I think that's a great app to share knowledge on characters, on people's points of view. So I hope that kind of takes off, because I've heard people talk about it, but I don't know if it's been implemented.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
App makers, call
Something
me.
else.
Sounds like they're doing all the homework for the kids, though, right?
Well, I think it's, so kids can also, homework, yes, but they can also then access
Yeah.
A lot
other
more
people,
efficiently.
not just the teacher's point of view.
But
you
also
know?
the actors'
The
notes.
actors. Because we had a great teacher, Mr. Clemens, in JC, who kind of taught like that, where he would take things out of the classroom.
Yeah, fair bit. So we were very lucky in that respect. He actually was a walking library, encyclopedia, museum, everything. So he would be able to pull in references, like if we were reading a text, and he will say, okay, let's watch Royal Shakespeare's Company. I've got the VCR.
The VCR, yes.
Yeah, Betamax.
Yeah, and then he will say, okay, that's the Royal Shakespeare Company. Let's watch Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann's one now, and
yes.
let's and then it just blew my mind that people can talk like that or behave like or act like that, and so it really expanded the way I saw literature back then.
I think it was his fault that all of us went into the arts.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, now, final question for you though, before we let you go. How would you advise younger creatives, actors, illustrators, photographers, as they struggle to find their place in this crazy world?
Oh my God, that's such a big question.
Well, you just turned 40, Crispy's time.
Oh my gosh. Look, I think the most important thing is to have an open mind and to be inquisitive. I think that for me, as someone who I've had a very kind of multifaceted journey as career-wise. I started as an actor. I did psychology. No, I did finance first.
What?
What?
I did. It was an exciting new program at Curtin Business School called e-commerce.
Back then, yes, e-commerce.
E-commerce, and I think everyone in that class are now millionaires now, or broke because of the .com crash. But I mean, in terms of how I've kind of journeyed to where I am now, is someone who's still got a job and has a mortgage to pay. I mean, I think it's about being inquisitive about knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are, and how you can build on that. Being inquisitive about how technology, for me, myself, technology has been one of those biggest factors in my life in terms of how I have managed to develop skills to help me achieve the things that I want to do, to promote myself, to market myself. So I think for any artist, I think you need to think about not just being an artist, but someone who is almost like an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
A technopreneur or anything. I mean, especially in this day and age, I mean, especially once again, I'm going back to COVID, but I think if anything, this whole COVID situation is making us realize that
you've got to.
There's no security. There's no no one necessarily has an essential job.
Sure.
That you need to have different areas that you can kind of expand as an artist to kind of support yourself.
I came up with a word. How about an actorpreneur?
Actorpreneur, yeah.
Actorpreneur.
Or artipreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Artistpreneur.
Just be a preneur something.
I mean, just what people are doing when they're not working as an actor. What else are they doing? They're reaching out. They're trying to do VOs online. They're trying to do designs online. There's other ways to kind of use the skills that you have online, and I think that's what we need to start thinking about beyond what our traditional kind of platform is. So as an actor, you're just on the stage. As a painter, you're just on a canvas. How much further can you go as an artist in whatever field you are and go beyond that traditional platform? And how do you reach out? And the fact is, art, the consuming of art. One thing that's been reassuring for me, like although theatre companies are not running shows right now, a lot of freelance artists aren't necessarily working out right now, but there's an interesting thing happening in that everyone is turning to art to consume, to keep themselves sane in those apartments.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are we doing when we're sitting at home? We're watching Netflix, we're listening to music, we're reading books, we're watching, all sorts of things happening online. And so, in times of crisis, it seems like the consumption of art
goes up.
And technology is going to be that medium for that.
Absolutely,
especially the digital world. So, I think that's what you need to come in with as an artist right now is how do we reach out further?
How do we adapt and grow? Well, you can find out more about Crispian's work. His Instagram is @Crispian Chan, CrispianChan, and his website is www.crispy, that's CRISPI.photography. That's your website to check out more on how Crispian has done amazing things with my face without the help of needles. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks guys.
And we are taking out
Yes.
one more from the fishbowl.
Fishbowl, we love doing this because, the scariest moment in your life.
Scariest moment in my life. Not safe for air.
Not safe for
It's a podcast.
NSFA. Not safe for
not safe
air.
for air. I think there were many scary episodes in our lives. And the thing is that, to our eternal regret is that as we get older, we think that, okay, no more of this nonsense. Every time we get into those situations, we tell ourselves, no more, not ever again, don't do this again, don't get yourself into it again. But it still happens.
I think for us, for me anyway, the scariest moments would always be about health.
Yeah.
Whether it's mine or loved one, which happened, when you're not knowing whether that person would pull through, that balance of life and death would be scary. I guess to anyone, no matter how strong your faith or your beliefs are.
Correct.
It's always what next.
Correct.
And can I handle it?
Yeah. So I think this
yeah.
anxiety is something that we have to balance in our lives every day when we go out. It's a bit like dealing with, how our parents grew up during the war. So in war, they have to deal with a certain way. In peace, you have to deal. Then PTSD comes in. PTSD, is it post-traumatic? Yeah, PTSD.
PTSD.
You have anxiety attacks. You feel, oh no, this is going to happen to me and everything. But how do you get through the day trying to tell yourselves, realistically, this probably will not happen, so you need to live normally. That's a thing that we need to deal with.
Yeah. Well, if you've got any scary moments in your life and you feel you want to share with us, please subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you can receive notifications when new episodes get released. You can always drop your comments and whether you like us or not. Feel free. Podcast.
Please like us.
Please like us. Podcast at doubleconfirm.sg. The Hossan Leong podcast is brought to you by Double Confirm Productions. Hosted by Hossan Leong and Benjamin Lee. Produced by Ann Lee and Jem To. Post-mixed by Ken Delbridge and recorded at Splice Studios, Singapore.